Okay guys, this video is going to cover how I assess the Antigone movie project that y'all turned in. And I'm going to go through each of the required elements and the components of each element. And then I'm also going to list some honorable mentions. So hopefully that'll be fun for you. I will say overall, if you got a lower grade than you were expecting, it was probably for one of these reasons. You omitted an element of, or let me rephrase that, you omitted a component of one of the 6 elements. And if you did that just once or even twice, it would not hurt your grade, that much. If you did that in multiple sections, that would add up and it probably hurt your grade. Also, I was wondering for some of the projects if you viewed the video that I posted as I went through each of the sections and the elements and gave you tips on that. So again, think about if you viewed that video for help before completing your project. So let me go through each of these and see if I can't give you some information that's helpful to you here. Okay, so section 1, this was the formal paper part of the project where you had to give convincing reasons why your remake would be popular. That was 5 points. You had to discuss major themes, at least 2. That was 5 points. Of your production, and you had to discuss at least 2 conflicts of your production. That was 5 points. You had to explain how they were relevant to the movie audience today. That was 5 points. You had to discuss if your production was a mass audience or a smaller, more specialized audience. That was 5 points. And then the grammar, organization, clarity, punctuation, all of that aspect was 5 points. And a lot of errors, common errors that I saw had to do with titles. Titles of plays are italicized. Titles of movies are italicized. A lot of comma errors, even spelling errors. Some of you would misspell something in one place and spell it correctly here, leaving out words. So just like almost like you did not even proof your own work. Now, I did allow a conversational tone, like if you were making that sales pitch that we talked about. But again, that tone had to be consistent throughout your sales pitch or throughout your essay. Honorable mentions here, Micah Walsman, Kate, Joy Killingsworth, Colby, Josh Hand. He actually made his remake using wolves as characters. And I was a little concerned about that at the beginning, but it really worked. Caitlin, and actually in her discussion in her sales pitch, she addressed gender roles. She addressed feminism. And she also was one of the few people that had a wide multicultural cast for her characters. Megan Boyd also had a good part 1. Andrew, Joshua Portal, Aiden, Rebecca, and then Ethan and Zoe also included elements of what we are all facing with the coronavirus, and they kind of wove that into their part 1. So I thought that was pretty neat. So good job, guys. Okay, the basic plot outline. It's only 10 points, but I was looking for elements. Yes, you told me your setting, your time and place. You gave me your character list. And some of you wrote your basic plot, but you left out all terms for plot. And then some of you gave me the terms for the plot, but you didn't mention any Greek tragedy terms. And if you remember, We talked about the Greek tragedy terms from your quiz. I also gave that extra uh, uh, PowerPoint handout with the overlay of Freytag's pyramid with the Greek tragedy terms, and I discussed this when I went through the video, through the required elements, kind of giving you a hint that the more you can show me you understand these terms, the better. And some of you wrote the whole thing and you didn't mention one term. So you might have missed up to 5 points on that. If you got some of the terms, you might have missed 1 to 2 points on that. Okay, honorable mentions for this section. Kari did a good job there. Julianne, Joy Bozeman, and she really just had a strong project overall. I think, Joy, if I'm remembering correctly, you had the mob and the gangster kind of element, so I thought that was fun. Okay, costuming notes. This was section 3. You had to give me at least 5. Some of you gave me 3 characters or only 4 characters. Well, it was 3 points per character. And most of you got the picture, but where you would lose points here is if you forgot to explain the effect you're going for with your character, or you forgot to give me the source of your inspiration, or you neglected to comment about the fabrics or the colors. And then the punctuation and all of that was kind of built in. Some honorable mentions for this section. Benny did a good job here, Joshua Hand, and then Rebecca Anderson and Rebecca Ortiz did a very thorough job on section 3. Now, section 4, the musical note section, you were writing instructions to somebody, telling them what to do, how to do it. That was 5 points. Giving the overall emotional impact, you wanted your score to include, that was 5 points. And then giving me specific scenes with the emotion aroused in that scene, 5 points there. And then the punctuation and grammar, I just took off a little bit here or there. Now, this section 4, honorable mention, Katie, Joshua Hand, Andrew did a really good job on this section. Rebecca Anderson, and then Ethan, actually, I gave him a +1. He gave me, I think it was actually a 2-page glossary. Now, somebody else gave me a glossary, or a couple of other people gave me a couple of words, which I appreciated. But Ethan's was, I think it was over a 2-page glossary of terms that he used, and really went to great lengths to explain to me what he was going for, what these terms meant. Because I think I've told you guys I have actually no musical training at all. I actually played the clarinet for 6 months when I was in 6th grade. But I digress. Okay, so that was section 4. Section 5, the original script. You needed stage directions. That was 5 points of it. If you did not include the original script, so I had nothing to compare it to, just including the original script was 5 points. I took off a few points here or there if your dialogue was not punctuated correctly. And if you were super, super brief, you lost some points. But this was the second highest point value section, being 20 points. Honorable mentions for this section, I really liked Katie's section here. Now, the movie poster had to include the names of the actors that you wanted to play. That was 2 points. Description of the plot. Your main themes and conflicts. This is where some of you lost a point or two. It was maybe a beautiful drawing, but I had no idea, based on what you drew, that there was any kind of conflict. Maybe I saw a girl, but I didn't know what about the girl. But some honorable mentions for this section, Joshua Portal and Mackenzie, and also Summer. And she gave her movie a rating and actually put that on the poster. And I thought that was neat. Somebody else gave it a rating, I think in section 1, but that was something that most of you did not include. A particular rating, you would say, if it was for teens, because some of you did the Disney kind of vibe, that kind of thing. Now, I will say only 2 or 3 of you neglected to turn in your rubric. So, and that was at 10 points off the top. So if you made a 95 and you forgot your rubric, you were down to 85. So I hope this helps explain some things. And again, if you have any questions about your grade, I'd love to discuss it with you.